Hello friends. So to give some context to this video, I want to briefly share my background on my health journey with you, so you know where I'm coming from. So I was born a sickly child, and I think this actually gave me a lifelong interest in health. And I've searched for answers my whole life. Mainstream medicine couldn't fix me. I even wrote a book about health, alternative health, in the early 2000s. At some stage I discovered herbs. I grew my own vegetables organically. And gradually my health improved. So I fixed my asthma, allergies, eczema, but my health was never 100%. Then I studied energy psychology, and I saw the link between emotions and conditions. I healed my depression and anxiety. But I couldn't have children, and the doctors didn't know why. So I still felt like something was missing from this health picture. And I got to study naturopathy, which is the science and art of healing with food and herbs. And that's when I found the missing link. So I'm just telling you this so that you can see I've got a deep background in health. I've looked very, very deeply into everything health related, and of course, including diet. So before I go into what I discovered about diet, remember this is in the context of the topic of this video, which is looking for solutions to survive the coming crash. Also remember that everything that we have been taught is a lie, including and especially about food. To be honest, the information I'm going to share can be hard to get our heads around. Even I was surprised when I started studying naturopathy with the great Dr. Robert Morse, because I'd researched this for many years. I even wrote a book on it, which was all wrong. So just let this information kind of wash through you and sit with it for a few days. Check in and see how it resonates with you. Okay, so staying healthy is much easier than we think. Let's start at the beginning. Humans are the only animal that cooks its food. And of course, this enabled us to spread around the world to cold climates and all of that. But cooking depletes the energy of the food. We are natural frugivores. Now, this means a fruit-eating species, not omnivores as we've been brainwashed to believe. We don't need protein. We need the building blocks of protein. And these are abundant in fruit and vegetables. But we don't absorb the nutrients in vegetables very easily. Because of the length of our colon, we only have one stomach, not like the herbivores. So we are not herbivores either. We should not really even be eating vegetables. Isn't that going to be good news for your children? Now, I know there's a lot of information out there about the carnivore diet, and people are swearing by it and saying that it cured them of all sorts of conditions. Now, I believe the main reason for that is that there's two main reasons for that. One is that they are not consuming grains, and grains or dairy, and I really think those two foods are very, very bad for our health. The other reason is that they are eating just one type of food in a meal. I don't even know if they do vegetables, but that would be separate from the meat. And this is one of the problems. We think, or we've been brainwashed to believe, that a balanced diet means protein, starch, and vegetables at every meal, or some variation of that. Now, the problem is our digestive systems aren't designed to cope with that. In fact, you've got completely different enzymes and acid ranges to digest meat from digesting starch. So if you have them both in one meal, your stomach really, really battles. And then what happens is the acids that the meat needs to digest it work against the alkaline that the vegetables need. And then it just becomes this mess in your stomach. It sits there, and then it's very difficult for you to eliminate that food. So I'm not going to, there's a whole lot about absorption and about getting nutrients out of the food. I'm not going to go into that now because I want this to just be a real high-level video just to start introducing these ideas to you. So one way to know what we are is to look at our body template. What do we look like? Do we look like a cow? Do we look like a lion? Do we look like a bear or a pig? No, we look like a monkey. Okay, so what do I mean by template? The first thing we start with is to look at our paws and claws. We don't have paws and claws, we've got hands. And our hands are perfectly designed for picking off fruit off a tree. We're not designed to claw and kill animals, with sharp claws. We don't have hooves like herbivores have got. So that's the first clue that we look at. Even our eyes, we can see color. And the reason for that is so that we can tell when the fruit is ripe and ready to pick. The next thing we look at is the digestive enzymes that are naturally in our body. We don't have enzymes in our mouth that can digest protein. It's all done by the acid in our stomachs. Our enzymes in our mouth are ideal for digesting fruit and to some extent vegetables. Then we look at the length of our colon, which is plus minus 3 times the length of our body. Carnivores, their colon is much shorter. And the reason for that is because you don't want meat, which goes off very quickly, to sit in your digestive tract for long because it's going to cause illness. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the herbivores, and they've got long colons. And the reason for that is because the nutrients from vegetables are quite difficult to digest. So firstly, they go through 2 or 3 or sometimes even more stomachs in the herbivores, and then through this long colon. So we don't have that. So already, that's what I mean. Our template is showing us what we should eat. Okay, I think that's about all about our template. But as I said, do the research. Go and have a look. It is fascinating. Food, I believe, is the start of the sickness chain. In other words, not the health chain. Food makes us sick. So the pharmaceutical companies can make money off us. The correct food means vastly improved health. No pharmaceuticals and no reliance on the system, which is where I'm getting to in this video. When we eat fruit, our health issues resolve themselves. So we might need herbs to treat health challenges that are already existing or genetic weaknesses you have. So for example, I have a thyroid weakness and a parathyroid weakness, which had a direct impact on me not being able to have children, which mainstream medicine just simply doesn't even know that connection. All right, so here's a plan. And think in terms of, I would say 2 to 4 years to the crash. Let's hope it is going to be that long. And by crash, I mean a total collapse of the economy as a worst case scenario. Let's just hope this doesn't happen, but we never know. So for absolute survival, I reckon we need 2 trees for winter fruit and 1 for summer fruit, plus berries, melons, tomatoes, cucumbers, and marrows. And those last 3 are also considered fruit. You can thrive on just 1 fruit, 1 type of fruit. Many have done it and are still doing it. So if we get back to the seasons, oranges and avos for winter, for example, dates if you can grow them, and grapes and watermelons for summer. I mean, that would be survival, and you and your family would thrive on just those 4 species of fruit. So I would plant an avo tree, an orange tree, and 1 summer fruit tree as a minimum, more if you have space. I've just gone through winter eating mostly oranges, avos, and dates. But the key is to only grow the fruit your family loves. Don't grow guavas if they're not going to eat them. And of course, you're going to research what trees can grow in your area and how to plant them, etc. And your local nursery can help with this. In summer, you will grow, as well as your fruit tree, you will grow melons, berries, tomatoes, cucumbers, marrows, and those all need planting per season. So that's going to be the bulk of your work. We are so lucky in this country. We can grow fruit almost anywhere, and our winters are not too cold. So it can take a while to adjust to eating just fruit, but you do adjust. So I live in the Southern Cape, and the winters are pretty chilly here, and I was absolutely fine on mostly fruit. Now, the amazing thing about fruit plants is that they can take bad water, like full of chemicals or not pure or water that we wouldn't drink, and turn it into water that our bodies use. So you may have heard this, that normal plain H2O that we drink is not actually the best water for our body. They say the water that comes from fruit is called H3O, and it's just, our cells absolutely love it and thrive on it. So there's a lot of fruitarians who don't even drink water, amazingly enough. So again, in areas where your drinking water is going to be a challenge to find, when you grow fruit, you can overcome that problem. Fruit really is the ideal survival food, and it is much easier to grow than vegetables. And there's incredible return for little effort. So once your trees mature, you get tons, literally tons of fruit per year for many years, like up to 70 years. You can do yourself and your health a huge favor and start transitioning to a mostly fruit diet right now. So that can be, for example, fruit or a smoothie for breakfast, salad with avo, tomatoes, and cucumbers for lunch, and fruit for supper. That's really how I eat. You can eat meat or fish or eggs or anything when you crave it, but you really don't need it. We just have to get our minds around this thing of needing protein. So remember, that's being brainwashed into us from absolutely every angle. So in my experience, it takes between 6 months and 2 years to transition. Initially, you struggle with feeling full. So dates, avos, tomatoes, and oranges are all nice and dense and filling. But then after a while, miraculously, your food becomes fruit and fruit becomes food. It is amazing. Then another thing that will happen is initially the fruit is going to bring out all your body weaknesses. You will detox. So expect cold and flu and aching joints and even pus coming out of your skin and all sorts of things. You will lose weight. But all of these conditions will heal. And then the other side of the health coin is using herbs. Now, herbs to me are those absolutely magical plants given to us to treat our human body. So the ideal thing with herbs is not to, as we've got stuck with doing, is treat symptoms. You want to treat systems. So the fruit will show you which of your bodily systems are not functioning properly. By systems, I mean like endocrine, cardiovascular, your digestive system, which everybody's is going to be compromised, circulatory, reproductive, etc. So I can point you in the right direction if you email me. I also do health assessments and consultations, though my time is limited. And I do have a small range of my own tinctures. The reason why I made them is because we can't find those in South Africa that are treating the systems. And then your best information for specific health conditions is Dr. Robert Morse. He does tons of videos. He literally takes letters of people who say, I've got this and this wrong. He reads them out online and he gives the solutions. So you can find your particular condition and see how you are going to treat it. And then you don't have to order his expensive herbs from overseas. We are so lucky in South Africa that we have an abundant variety of herbs here. I've got a lot of information on my website as well, but please contact me directly because you know that I'm a little bit underground in this Enough SA movement. Okay, so once you transition onto fruit, your health will skyrocket. You will start to feel calm, but full of energy and full of light. You just get this lightness about you. If you have babies or small children, they will absolutely love it. You can wean them straight from the breast to fruit, as much as they want, and that is all the nutrients they need. Then, if you are able to live in a community or help our poorer brothers and sisters whose staple diet is a GMO crop, heartbreaking, teach them about fruit and help them buy their own fruit trees. If you have access to ESG funding, why don't you start a project to plant fruit trees? Or how about fruiting your nearest township? So it will need some education, but people can buy their trees. I believe this always gives more of a sense of ownership than being given something for free. And now to the true beauty of the system. In a community, now think a township or the homelands or a village, all you need is 2 to 4 trees per family, plus berries and melons and tomatoes, etc. grown seasonally. And this will be so abundant, everybody will be giving their fruit away. So it creates the sharing economy. You grow apples, I grow pears, and we swap. And it also gives a sense of pride and ownership around your trees. So you might know about community gardens. These have a very high failure rate. And the reason is because people like owning their own stuff. And also community gardens are mostly growing vegetables, which are difficult to grow. I know, I've done it. It takes a huge amount of effort. Trees are easy, and you don't have to keep on replanting. And of course, the older the tree gets, the more and more it gives. Isn't it just magical? So once we get through the crash, you can eat whatever you want, if you still want it. Please leave your ideas underneath this video. Let me know what you think. I'm Trinity, and I'll see you soon.